Fans tuning into Game 4 of the Western Conference Final were treated to a tremendous game of high-stakes basketball until the final minute, which became a drawn-out free throw shooting contest. We all know why both teams did what they did. The trailing Timberwolves were trying to extend the game, while the leading Thunder subscribed to the mathematically sound strategy of fouling up three, as it's less likely the opposing team will win a free throw contest by 3+ points than it is they'll make a three-pointer. Watching a fantastic playoff game lose all of its steam was the final nudge I needed to join the chorus of people calling for an end to this scourge. Intentionally fouling while holding a lead in the final 24 seconds should result in free throws and possession. That will put an end to it. Now, some will say that rewards losers, as the trailing team can still hack away. The difference is that fouling while losing already carries risk in that the leading team can pull further away by making their free throws. Whereas if a team trailing by 3 makes 2 free throws in the dying seconds, it actually benefits the intentional fouler. I get that such gamesmanship exists in every sport on some level, but the NBA has made TV-friendly business decisions before, like penalizing away from the ball fouls in the last 2 minutes and transition take fouls at any time. This needs to be their next one, just in time to guarantee the league's new $76 billion media partners a purer product. Make teams play basketball till the end. Give your stars a chance to make more plays with the game on the line, not just from the line. And with that, welcome to the Unfiltered Show from the Score Studios. My name is Joseph Casciaro. Joining us in studio today, returning guest, host of the JD Bunkis podcast, it's JD Bunkis, Score's social director, Scott Campsall. How's it going, guys?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm all right. I mean, I was riding the high of that game last night, and then we get to the final minute, and I'll be honest, I was always a guy that was okay with this because I just thought it's strategy. That's sports. And when people would say, no, you got to get it out of the game, I'd be like, I don't really like starting to tinker with that stuff because it's just strategy. Don't be losing by 3 if that's the case. But last night, it really got to me. Like, that was such a great game.
Yep.
And then that happened. So I'm curious for your guys' thoughts. JD, we can start with you. Are you on board with getting rid of fouling up 3, or do you think it's rewarding losers?
I guess I'm not as bothered by it.
Okay.
Like, I lived through the Hack-a-Shack era.
Yeah.
I watched college basketball.
Ew.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm just used to this, I guess. I understand it if you're the league and you were looking at this and saying, hey, we want to have a more entertaining product. And I do think that, in general, there is a fundamental problem with basketball that has always existed, which is that these exciting games, you want it to come down to these dying seconds. Like in a hockey game, right? It's the net is empty and players are buzzing around the net trying to crash it, and you're hoping and hoping and hoping. In the NFL, it's the final drive, right? You're hoping for a Hail Mary. It's such an exciting play. With basketball, it ends in free throws. Obviously, you'd rather have a buzzer beater. But to the point about like your broadcast partners, it reminds me of this Norm Macdonald joke he made about cryogenics, where he's like, even if they come up with it, they got to be thinking, well, we've already got his money.
They got that $76 billion.
Yeah,
Exactly right.
so I don't know if there's the impetus for the league to try to say, hey, we've got to satiate our broadcast partners more because, again, they've already got their money. And so to me, I would say, to your point about like, hey, you get the fouls and the possession, my first thought is, well, how are we legislating what is the take foul versus like what is a reach for the basketball, right? So I think the thing that we don't think about enough when it comes to stuff like this is like the fallout rules.
Yeah.
And it happens every single time we do this.
Something
where it's
you
like,
can't anticipate. That
exactly. Like, hey, so we're going to have reviews on pass interference. This should fix everything. And then they do it for 1 year because they're like, oh my God, this was a nightmare.
Yeah.
All of a sudden we don't know if like some guy like jamming a receiver at the front of the line of scrimmage is a foul. We don't know how much of like a touch or a contact. Even with reviews for fouls now, like I didn't agree with either call in the Knicks-Pacers game. Did you guys? Like the 2 calls, it was
they were both iffy at best.
yeah, they were both iffy, but it was like, I thought both of them were just clear, like leave it as called, I guess, but I did think that the Brunson one was an offensive foul. But either way, like it just never feels perfect to me. And so instead of going down this rabbit hole of trying to figure this thing out, ultimately just to end up with either leagues or teams figuring out new ways to game the system, which is going to be like, what? Reach-in fouls, right? Like I was just trying to steal the ball. How are you supposed to say a stick ball? And then people just like stopping the clock and now go into review. I would just lean towards leave it as is, but I'm old.
Yeah. I mean,
We
I
all
think,
Yeah.
I mean, that is true. We definitely all are.
I'm old, so
But
I'm
I
like,
think-
leave it the same.
I think the review thing is a great point because I think if your move here is to increase the watchability of the league by eliminating that foul call, you're going to run into a situation where shit is going
Right.
to get reviewed,
Yeah.
and then we're going to lose all that time we would have spent sitting watching free throws. We're going to sit and watch reviews.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I also think it's a slippery slope because then it's like, okay, well, if you're not allowed to foul up in the last 2 minutes of a game, you are allowed to foul if you're down, and then if you're eliminating that, then that's a much bigger part of the game, and then you're also like litigating out what happened in Game 1 of the Pacers-Knicks series. Like, I do think it's been an interesting test case for fouls and whether or not we should be sitting through all this stuff. But to your point, I think it's a great point. Once you fix one thing, you're plugging one hole just to open another one up.
But it does suck.
It does, man. That's what I'm saying. Like that
Yeah,
game last
like-
night. I'm, I realize it's Game 4 of the conference finals. We're not talking about like Game 7 of the finals here, but that was insanely
That was
good.
that was
basketball.
Game 7. That was whatever.
Okay,
deciding
and
game
we're
was.
gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that later.
That was the
Yes.
end of the NBA playoffs.
And to have that game end that way, like I can understand. Like I said, it finally pushed me to be like, okay, we need to do something about this. To your point about, if you get rid of all intentional fouling and the consequences of that, then the problem with that is the reason you can't just get rid of all of it is then you will end up with a situation like in the NFL, you're going to take a knee basically that a team gets a first down, so much time on the clock. Oh, they can't get the ball back from us, game's over.
Which would be embarrassing.
It would be if the Thunder are up 3 points and they just get the ball back with 17 seconds and the losing team is not allowed to intentionally foul. Literally, it says, oh, we're going to hold the ball.
Oh, like games will be over if your team's up 7.
So they
with a
can't
minute
do
left,
that, and that's why they have to find some middle ground. The one thing I'll push back on, because I did see a lot of people, and I'm not just talking fans, I'm talking like, respected reporters out there talking about like considering going to the Elam ending, like target score. And that's where I'm like, okay, let's
I'd rather
not
die.
Yeah, let's not go in. It's exciting. It's great for the All-Star game. Heck, maybe in some universe you can convince me like overtime of a regular season. I don't know, but just regulation time to go to an Elam ending? No, that's more gimmicky than intentional
We're
fouling.
screwing with the game at that
Exactly.
point.
At that point, then
Might
I
as
will
well
be
just
the,
be slam ball. Just
honestly,
make it slam ball.
At that point, I
because
will
it's
be
like,
the old man yelling at the cloud,
Yeah.
being like, "You can't destroy the sanctity of the game like this."
This is good. I like old man talk. Like,
Yeah, we got 3 old guys.
Everyone's
talking
like, hey,
about
you know what?
yeah, you know what? Things are fine the way
You know what?
they are.
And the way the topics are going to go today, I feel like we're going to have a chance to be old men a lot. Okay, I want to get to a good point you just made without looking at any notes I sent, but it is actually something I want to talk about. You said that was the final. That basically was the end of the playoffs. My question for you guys was going to be, I get that I try not to get too far ahead of myself in the playoffs. We know a lot can happen. Knock on wood, injury. Like, we don't want to see any of that. But barring something like that, some catastrophe, something, out of the ordinary, did we just witness OKC win the title last night?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what else? Here's the thing.
And I know that's heartbreaking for you as a Sonics fan.
Oh, it's devastating for me. Like, basketball is my favorite sport. It's the sport that I grew up. Both my parents were basketball coaches. It's a sport that I played at the highest level. I love it. Like, it's part of, like, I think who I am as a person.
No, you can't watch it anymore.
And the reason why so much of this love was fostered was watching the Seattle Supersonics in the 90s and rooting for Sean Kemp and rooting for Gary Payton and, getting Ray Allen. Like, it was everything. And so to see them become this is hell. And for them to have a Canadian be the best player
Twist that knife.
on the team and also have another Canadian who I adore. Like, built in a factory of what I like about basketball players is Lou Dort.
Yeah.
And these guys are just torturing me in the most hellacious way. It's miserable. They're so good. They're too deep. You saw yesterday, I thought, one of the biggest statements of that game was just the league wants Anthony Edwards to be the face, right? Like, they're dying for him to be the face. They are killing.
He'll say he doesn't want it.
Oh,
but everyone wants him. And fellow stars seem to want him too. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
whether because he's American
Yes.
and everyone else is international. But LeBron, like, go down the list of old stars and they'll all tell you,
want
Ant's
it.
the guy. He's the face.
Yes.
He's the face. Despite them, having 7 straight international MVPs, despite the fact that Victor Wembanyama's in the league, Luka Doncic's in the league, they see Ant as the future.
But they also like the fact that Ant carries that attitude of like, when they win that series against the Lakers and he walks around the stadium and he's jawing with the fans.
Yes.
They need that personality. Like, the NBA has known for a long time something other leagues haven't, which is it's not just the game. It's the stories outside of it, and it's the investment in the personalities.
The characters.
Right. Like, Steph Curry, fans were fans of Kobe. Fans were fans of Steph Curry, of LeBron, and they would travel with them with the teams. And they've kind of understood this. And Anthony Edwards is like one of those figures. He is just a more compelling guy than Shea. Like, I think we would agree, right?
Yeah.
But last night was such a statement for me of not just that their team was better, because the Wolves team played really well. Like, look at the game Nikhil had.
Yep.
It was unbelievable.
They're a really good team.
Everything. I thought they were bad on the glass. I think that they were kind of sloppy defensively for
Which
large
the Thunder will
portions.
do to teams.
Yeah.
Yep. But ultimately, Shea really, that was his signature game as a superstar. That was like, hey, I know all the narrative around me is about fail baiting and whether or not Jokic should have won MVP, but here I was in basically the finals, game 7, and I stamped it down with a 40-piece where the other guy could only get 2 field goals off in a half.
40 points, 10 assists.
Yeah.
It's only the 13th time in league history someone's had a 40-10 game in the conference finals or later.
Yeah.
Only the 7th time in the conference finals and the first time in 4 years, I think.
Yeah, like he's on pace to win the MVP, the Finals MVP. Last person to do that was LeBron in 2013, I think.
Yeah.
Like he had a statistically great season for a guard, like an all-time statistic season for a guard.
On both ends.
I believe the best mid-range shooting season of anybody ever, which is insane in this era. Also, to have a guy come out and do that.
The shots he was hitting over, like Anthony Edwards.
Oh, yeah.
Ridiculous. Like he's a guy who is like if you want a star on your team, you want a guy that organizes your offense, can get you a bucket at any time, can get to the foul line at any time. That pass he had to J-Dub for like J-Dub had 2 threes there that were just like so backbreaking.
Yeah.
It's just like this guy does it
That
all.
pass was a
And,
Of course. But yeah,
and he's,
hey.
Yeah.
it was
works.
good, yeah. And he's a plus defender for what was
Oh my
the
God,
best
plus
league-adjusted defense of the last half decade.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, if you're Minnesota, like in order to succeed in the playoffs, you need games where your stars need to play like stars, but you need games where your 4th, 5th, 6th best players step up, and it must be heartbreaking to see that they got DiVincenzo, Alexander Walker, McDaniels all had great games last night, and then they couldn't get it done. Like I don't see how you come back from that.
Well, because Ant and Randall were in not just the torture chamber, but the general Thunder torture
Thunderdome.
the Thunderdome, exactly. Because like you just look at the way that team collapses on stars, but then is also still able to recover the shooter. Like I can't remember the last time I saw a defense. I remember when they were here in Toronto earlier in the season, and I was like talking to other media people on Media Row about it, and we were all saying we had never visually, like in person, seen a defense this intimidating and this all-encompassing in years, and maybe like we couldn't remember. Like it's that good, it's that dominant, it's that everywhere, hands everywhere, deflections everywhere. It's why they win the possession battle the way they do. It's just unbelievable. And yeah, like I thought, I wrote a thing coming into the playoffs about how even though they are this 68-win juggernaut and like everything tells you they should win the title, they were also the youngest team in the entire playoff field and younger than any rotation that's ever won the title, less experienced than any team that's ever won the title when you look at playoff games played. But I thought in the Denver series, they cleared a hurdle. Like the way they won some of those games where they could have gone down 3-1, could have gone down 3-2, kept taking the lead and then just blow the doors off them in game 7, I thought was a hurdle. But I think that final hurdle, and I know we're getting ahead of ourselves.
No, it's a final hurdle.
Game 4, on the road against the Minnesota team that, listen, they're better and more resilient than a lot of people give them credit for. That is a good team over there. Back-to-back conference finals on the road to go up 3-1, and they just got it done. They held on. I just thought, to me, that was like, barring something unforeseen happening, there's your title right there.
No, they're doing it. But again, because it's like they have the best player remaining in the postseason. Like, again, that was made clear last night.
Yeah.
There's no debating, like, who you would rather. It's him. It's not Anthony Edwards, right? It's certainly not Tyrese Haliburton. It's not Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
It's Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. So you've got the best player. You've got the deepest team, right? Like, the Pacers are deep. Yeah. I actually think that the Wolves, like, as far as a playoff team goes now in today's NBA.
Yeah, even the Knicks, they don't use all their guys.
Well,
they make the cat trade to
the Knicks, exactly. I wouldn't say are deep. I would say when you have to bring in Landry Shamet and he just immediately
that was insane.
Plus 12 Landry Shamet.
Yeah, I'm just saying that as soon as you see him, you're like, oh my God, this is like.
They started the second quarter with Landry Shamet and DeLon Wright in the back.
Right.
All due respect.
Yeah.
Come on, fellas.
With all due respect, I was like, DeLon Wright is on the Knicks right now.
It was nice for Raptors fans, but they're deeper than everybody. They can go with 2 bigs. They can go small. They can shoot the 3. You mentioned it. They play the best defense in the entire NBA. Like, this is what is the way that I would describe them is actually the last great team in the parity era.
That's a great way because again, another thing we talked about last week was about this era of parity. I wrote about it, did a video about it, and the one team that could kind of end that conversation before it even starts is the Thunder if they actually pay up to keep everybody.
I think they will.
If they do, then the parity era
everyone.
might be over before it even started because of how good they are and how young they are.
Yeah, you're like eventually they'll probably lose like a Lou Dort,
Right.
Yeah.
right? Like someone will make a trade, but that's the thing is, I feel like Presti is so smart and so good at this. Like if you really trace back all these trades, it's insane what he's been able to do with it. It's like it all started with like a Rashard Lewis,
Serge Ibaka,
like trade exception that they end up getting, and then they flip it into picks. It's like, oh my god. So you combine having one of the most forward-thinking general managers with this roster. The fact that they've got like Topic still coming.
Yeah.
That you see what Wallace can do and how much like
still have more draft capital than basically anybody.
I'm sitting there. My biggest thought that I had during the Denver series was how many guys on OKC would have not just gotten minutes but started for Denver. Like when they were down to one arm Michael Porter and one leg Aaron Gordon. I thought you could take literally everybody except for Jamal Murray, and there would be starters, and you could go like what 7, 8 deep on the bench with that team.
The Thunder are great, man. Like like Casey Wallace, guys like that. Even like
they're too complete.
I know he's defensively vulnerable, and that's why in the playoffs he started. But even a guy like Isaiah Joe, like an elite shooter, movement shooter, the way he moves off the ball, is he going to give some up on the defensive end, and is he going to be targeted? 100%. But the Thunder are. Have the advantage of having so many guys where they can actually bury that guy if they need to. There'd be a lot of teams where, Isaiah Joe would get picked on, but they would still need to drag his butt out there for 20 minutes a night because they desperately need what he brings. And the Thunder can be like, when we need you, we'll call on you, or else stay there. Like that's how good they are. They're just
legitimately 11 deep.
I think the Thunder and the Nuggets are such an interesting test case to look at each other, just because the Nuggets, like obviously the Thunder are in a early aspect of that, but just like the Nuggets were such a powerhouse, and they just so mismanaged the guys around the guys. And then you look at the Thunder, and it's like they've got, like you said, like 5, 6 guys around the guys that are all great players. And I think if you're OKC looking towards the future, like if you're smart, you avoid the pitfalls of like, oh, this guy's our 7th guy, he's not as important, we'll just let him go, And I think kind of looking where the Nuggets were and where they've come and having them play against the Thunder, I think it's interesting to look at those two rosters.
Yeah, and also I think what a lot of people fail to talk about when it comes to the Thunder, because everyone talks about the draft picks they've got coming, and it's like, oh my God, who else could they get? We've been guilty of it too. Like, what, can they just turn J-Dub into Giannis? And like, the way to look at it could be they're probably about to win the championship. They don't really need to get better. They are already the best team in the world while being this young. They can just use all those picks to keep young, cheap talent on rookie scale deals around the big three if they want to keep them. That's already the best trio in the league. You know what I mean? Like, they're just...
Not to account for the fact that Shea's unbelievable, but Chet and J-Dub are just getting there.
They're not
like I think we're going to look at that Denver series as like a real breakthrough for those guys.
Yeah.
Like, it was a real test for them, and like I would be interested to see in a vacuum if the Thunder and the Wolves played in the second round instead of the conference finals.
Interesting.
And just seeing the Thunder coming off of that Nuggets series, because it seems like they learned so much about themselves.
They cleared a hurdle.
Yeah, exactly. And like just like there's a degree of resilience that I think you just learn, and the only way you learn it is by playing in the playoffs. And I think some of those secondary guys like a J-Dub and a Chet have like upped their game on the way through that series to the next round.
Even Shea, like he's 26. He's in his 7th season. Like he could still be getting better.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of them that are going to get better. The thing that they are, if I'm looking at what I think ends up happening, I think they end up actually paying all their guys, because the one benefit they have, more so I think even than the Nuggets example, is that the Thunder already went through this in the Kevin Durant, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Serge Ibaka.
I hope they've learned from it.
That they let James Harden go to try to save money, and they ended up getting back Kevin Martin, and there was one other piece in that, but Kevin Martin was the main piece.
Yeah.
They was basically to pay Kendrick Perkins and keep Ibaka.
They didn't want to buy out
pick
Perk.
that turned in Steven Adams, which Houston originally had from the Raptors and the Kyle Lowry
Exactly.
trade.
So you've already had the benefit of just very recent history telling you, don't go cheap on talent. And maybe that changes if they win a championship, and that satiates them to a certain degree, and they know that they're the only ticket in town, and people are going to go, and maybe they try to get cute about it. I just don't think that'll happen with the Stars. What I think ends up happening is your point, which is they keep a lot of those picks, and then they use them either to get cheaper veteran players that can actually fit their financial model, or they develop younger talent around those guys, and then they're no longer in play for signing the Hartensteins anymore. Like, they're not in play for free agents like that. That's going to be the loss for this team. Or maybe they can't, but even Caruso, like, his money, he's more of the example of, like, you give up those, like, picks and you bring in a cheap vet that fits your team. So I don't see an end to this thing.
No,
and if, to the point about the parity era thing, I think that's already arrived. Like,
oh, it's here. Yeah.
the teams that are in the finals or that are, like, coming out of the East, no offense, but by the standard of the NBA, those teams stink.
Well, that's like, why teams should be looking at next year and how wide open the East is. Because with Tatum out, if the Knicks and Pacers are the class of the East, everyone, or at least anyone who can get to like the mid-40s in wins, should be thinking they have a shot to get to the finals in 2026.
But I do think that what we're seeing from the Thunder right now, which is why I'm so crushed at the fact that they're going to win now, is that this feels like the Warriors to me. This is like, I don't think people understand that, yes, they're not as good as Golden State was when they brought in KD, but the league is much worse. And if you're looking at who's going to challenge you, like, there's no easy out for Denver. It's like, what, you're going to trade Michael Porter Jr. for what? What are you getting for MPJ? Like, what are the Wolves going to do to adjust from this? Like, the Wolves, I would argue, are as good as they could possibly be now. What's the lead?
They've got a couple young guys like Terrence Shannon, Rob Dillingham. Like, if they
but Shannon's older than Ant.
That's fair. I think the way I agree with you, they're probably not going to get much better at this. I mean, they made the West Final 2 years in a row. Like, for a lot of franchises, that's the ceiling.
Sure.
But I think Ant has enough of a presence about him, and I think he will continue to get better. I think he'll top out as like an MVP caliber player. If you've got one of those guys in an era where the talent is more spread out, I think they'll have a shot for a long time. It's about what they do around him, and like, you know.
See, I think the hope is the Spurs.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Listen, if Wemby gets a Giannis or someone else, if they just draft Dylan Harper, whatever it is, I agree. I think what we might be looking at is the early 2000s, where it was like the East was kind of a dog pile, and it was like, oh, the Nets are in this year, the Pacers are in this year, like, you know, whatever.
It's got that slam cover,
you know. But it's like, but you know, they're just gonna get mollywopped by the Lakers or the Spurs or whoever's coming out of the West, and that's what it kind of reminds me of. Okay, so we're all in agreement then, because one of the questions I was gonna ask is any path to the Wolves coming back in this series? No,
and I also think, like, straight up, I'll be surprised if the finals is not a sweep.
Okay, good segue then to this.
Five max is what I will put it down. Like, no way.
I was going to say to you guys, over under. 1.5 losses rest of the way for the Thunder. I'm going under.
Yeah, under.
Yeah. We have a lot of faith in them, but understandable.
Yeah, I just don't see, like, again, even when you to your injury point. Yeah. Like, how many you got to lose?
No, I know, man. I know.
What a way to put it.
Yeah.
Like,
they're that good.
Yeah. It's,
truly.
Like, guys got to run into each other like an old school, like, Hey Rover, Red Rover game where they just decide in practice that that's what they're doing. All of a sudden they're doing. We used to have it it was called Animal. Did you ever play that in basketball growing up? It was like in basketball teams, you'd play Animal, and it was like, you went for loose rebounds balls, and there was like no holds bar. And it's like, I bet you kids don't play this anymore.
No, friendship is tooth in practice.
Yeah, it's just like, it was truly, you turn them kids into animals. That's what you'd have to do at practice with the Thunder to have like a fraction of a chance.
For them to lose more than one game.
Yeah, exactly.
Silver walks into practice. All right, we're doing Animal today, fellas.
The players decide to do Larry Bird stuff where they're like, I'm only shooting with my left hand this game. Like,
I thought you were going to say they decided to do Larry Bird stuff. They do their mom's driveways by themselves. Because that's how Larry Bird apparently hurt his back in the 80s.
Or hurt his hand fighting in a bar.
Yeah, classic Larry legend. Like, wanted to lay the asphalt in his mom's driveway himself. Nah, I'm going to pay someone else to do it. I'll just do it. Not like I got like an entire industry depending on me. Okay, before we close this segment out, question for you: just do you watch to the final buzzer when the OKC is about to win the?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
and
do
the
you
worst.
Hate watch it?
Well, actually, I'll say this: it depends. Like,
I thought for sure you were going to say no. Like, no, I'm going to turn my TV off. With
it
2 minutes
depends.
left.
Like Denver Game 7, I didn't watch till the end.
Interesting, because you knew that was the hurdle.
No, because it was over. Like, it was a beatdown.
Yeah, it was over.
I'm not going to watch like the 30-point blowout and poor Jokic getting fouled relentlessly, and they're like, "Look at Caruso's defense." He's like hitting him with a 2x4.
By the way, J-Dub making an All-Star game this year officially gives SGA more All-Star teammates than Nikola Jokic has ever.
Yeah, man, 0.
It's serious. Yeah, that's
correct.
Right.
Correct.
No, it's brutal. I have actually just ask you guys one question about the Thunder series before we move off. Okay, I'm acknowledging that I'm a Thunder hater.
Okay.
Okay, but I do respect them. And I obviously, as a Canadian, do root for Shea and do root for Dort in different ways. I've always been like a Caruso fan. Do we find some of Shea's stuff at least like even a little embarrassing?
So we've had this. I mean, yeah, I'll talk about this every week. We talked about this on the show the last couple of weeks.
Because I do.
I don't.
I do.
I don't, and the reason I don't is that I think, one, as I said last week, like I don't think at any point, like, you know, the league's getting together and being like, hey, let's give that Canadian guard who plays in our smallest
I don't think that's
market.
what it is. That's
you
not
think
what
he's
upsets me.
generally like kind of baiting the ref? He's tricking the refs?
No, I don't. Baiting the refs is totally fine. Like, again, I just, like you and I were talking before the show about, I just had Norm Powell on my pod. And I was asking about it. And he's like, I try to get away with that stuff too. So
it's part of the game.
Yeah,
It's
to
a
me,
skill.
like the rip through stuff and, you know, you feel some contact, that's fine. Even the move that a lot of guys do on the drive where they're like trying to tuck the arm
Once
under
they
their
feel
elbow.
the hand, yeah.
And they'll kind of hook it and then throw the ball up. I'm like, yeah, whatever. The stuff that I find to be a little much is how he will initiate the contact and then it's like a little kid exploding to the opposite way. Or just like how easily he'll fall down on the floor. And you saw that one yesterday with that play again with Anthony Edwards where he's like D'ing him up. They're going chest to chest. And one of my favorite things about basketball is when it's the best player on each team defending each other. And I was like, cool, man, huge possession. Yeah. Anthony Edwards has decided that he's going to take Shea. And he gives him like the slightest chest bump. And Shea falls to the ground. And the refs reward him with a whistle. And I'm like, you're depriving us. Like, if we're talking about the entertainment product and trying to take away, like, these weird rules for free throws, I actually find that to be just as much of a problem. Like, that's why soccer never resonated with me. It was really difficult for me to watch soccer and have guys fall down, and not that they were, like, diving to...
Now we can go for an hour.
But now it's...
You're talking about soccer.
But it wasn't diving. Yeah. Like, the diving part of it, I actually was not like, oh, that's the part that upsets me. It was the guys that were, like... holding on to their legs and like rolling around in agony and being like, it's all over for me.
And then as soon as they retain possession.
And then they're back up and at it. And so that's the thing with me with Shea. It's like, I don't mind foul baiting. I think it's a part of the game. I think the free throw merchant stuff has gone way too far with him.
Yeah. He drives more than anybody. Yes, he's great.
It makes sense. Yes. And even like I saw Tom Haberstroh put together like the one big number of like Shea's playoff run of all his stats. It's like he's 140th or 440th. I don't even remember because it was such a ridiculous number. The thing that gets him in trouble and the reason why it drives people nuts is the way he falls to the ground with minimal contact. And that's what I find to be like, man, if you could just clean that up, I don't care about any of the other stuff. I don't care about the same foul baiting as everybody else. I don't think that there's another guy in the league that falls to the floor the way that Shea does with as little contact as consistent.
There is a guy, you just can't think of him because he barely plays. His name's Joel Embiid.
Yeah, that's true.
And Joel Embiid has almost hurt many people while flailing around.
The thing is, though, is that Joel Embiid does get hurt like sneezing. Yeah. So... it might hurt.
Yeah, he's putting his body on the line for that fly.
Him getting out of bed is putting his body.
There was a whole thing a few years ago where like Embiid and Sixers fans were coming to his defense by saying he actually was trained to fall in certain ways to avoid injury, and like that's why you see him falling all the time. It was like no. He also
he's doing it really badly.
He also flails all the time and hurts other people. Listen, I think it's a fair point. I think in general, no one wants to see guys like flailing around like that. Just, I just think there are, and I guess this isn't a good defense. I think there are so many other guys that do it that like. I don't think Shea's any more embarrassing than the others.
Best. But if like that's the stuff where it's like when we're talking about face of the league,
and
they're like, why do they want it to be Anthony Edwards and not Shea?
I will say,
I don't think it's because he's Canadian. I think it's because that stuff.
They have tried in the last couple of years, like even midway through last season, they did start officiating a little differently to try to not reward that stuff. And even this year, like, you know, you've got some players saying, well, it's actually too physical. They're not giving us enough calls. So, I don't know. I think it's a slippery slope both ways.
It's so weird how it's gone.
Yeah,
it's like I hate ragging on officials because I feel like it's the easiest, most like reductive thing to discuss. But some of these playoffs, just in terms of like how hard they'll let a defense play, and then all of a sudden they're calling touch fouls in the last 2 minutes, and you're like, what is it?
The consistency is what bothers. The inconsistency is what bothers people and players more than anyone.
I think it's been a big year for that too. Like that's come up a lot. Like them letting guys play and then kind of just like flipping the switch.
I would just do the hockey thing. Like I would
call nothing in the playoffs.
No, yes,
let them
but
kill each other.
No, more so they have the embellishment call in hockey, and
right.
sometimes they get it wrong. And actually, everyone in hockey wants the embellishment call out.
Yeah,
but I kind of wish that what they would do with some of those flops is not take away the foul, but be like, hey, you embellish this. It's a warning. And the next time it's a technical foul and it goes against you. So
they do get fined for it now.
Yeah.
It's just rarely actually enforced.
Yeah, but again, I'd rather just have it actually be in the game. So it's something that you have
like
to think
penalizes
about.
you and your team in the moment.
So
Yeah, I
you
like
stop just like falling to the ground and being like the soccer leg grab thing. That's all it is to me. Foul baiting, whatever. That's again a part of the game. Kobe did it. Everybody does it. MJ did it. I don't care. It's the fall to the ground and be like, I just got hit by Shaquille O'Neal. It's like, no, you didn't. You got lightly bumped by a point guard.
Yeah.
I agree.
I thought
Yeah,
you were
no,
gonna
it's
cut
just
off.
like, and also like to your point, it's completely unnecessary. It's like you're the best player right
Yeah.
now. Like you don't need to do that.
No.
And that's what the bummer of it is. But the
Yeah.
problem is that I think the NBA specifically has been trying this for like a decade, trying to figure out how to get rid of it. Like there were fines, there were technical fouls, there's warnings, and they just can't seem to figure it out.
No.
And it's puzzling to me, you know?
Okay, let's end with a couple social-friendly topics that I think are going to get us going here. First one, we're not talking Pacers Knicks. We're talking not Tyrese Haliburton, John Haliburton,
Yes.
Papa Haliburton. Okay, so Tyrese Haliburton's dad, in case anyone's living under a rock and doesn't know, had the run-in with Giannis Antetokounmpo in round one, where he left his courtside seat to essentially talk trash to Giannis once the series ended. He was waving his Tyrese Haliburton face towel in his face. It was a whole thing. Giannis showed a lot of restraint not to pop him. Anyway, Haliburton's dad was then not like officially banned, but the Pacers decided, he shouldn't be at the
I
arena.
thought he was officially banned.
It was
the
like
Pacers or the league?
It was the Pacers, I believe. It might have been the league or the Pacers, but like it's not like they put out a statement and said, "Hey, this guy is not allowed in the arena." It was just this thing where they said he's no longer going to be there.
Right, indefinitely.
It lasted 8 games. Now he's still not going to be on the road, but he will be back in the building for Game 4 of Knicks Pacers. He's going to be in a suite, not back in his courtside seat, but he's allowed back in the building, and he'll get to watch the game, not have to watch it from a bar as he was doing. They were showing in the last game. So, like I said, he had missed 8 games. The Pacers decided he should stay away. He still won't attend road games. Are you happy he's back, or do you think it's BS, given what would happen to a regular fan? If a regular courtside fan who was not related to, sitting in that exact same seat John Haliburton was sitting in, not related to any player, stormed the court after the home team won to talk trash to one of the faces of the league and really get in their face to the point where, like, now that people had to get in the middle of them, I'm pretty sure that fan would be banned for life.
We'd never see him
Right?
again. His family would never see him
do you
again.
guys care about this, or do you think it's BS? You happy he's back? Is it good for, like, I don't know, marketing?
No. So, first of all, I don't think we should ever encourage helicopter parents' behavior ever at all. So the idea that like we're marketing around him even in the slightest, it doesn't bode well for me.
Yeah.
Whether it was Jaws' dad or whether, like there's a long list of examples of this. LeVar Ball, like, remember where it was the worm tour where people were like, got to give LeVar Ball a lot of credit. Like, he believes in his sons. I was like, that's fine, but I also don't need him to be, like, the face of the family.
Yeah.
And,
Also,
I guess to his credit, LeVar's never gotten into anybody with anybody at a game. Like,
His
again.
sons don't win a lot. So.
Yeah.
Their ankles are shot. But
Yeah.
big
I was
baller,
going
right?
to say, was he going to do in
Never
Charlotte?
lost.
Yeah, the regular season game.
Yeah, you only beat us by 20. So I'm very pro fan. And I feel like the fan is getting screwed more and more and more and being taken for granted more and more and more. Like, even when I'm watching these Knicks games and it's like full celebrity row, everybody that gets the good seats is like a billionaire. Everybody that has to get into the building that wants to see the Knicks, you got to spend like $1,000 US just to see the team and potentially lose a game. Like, that's crazy money for a ticket. And I feel like our minds have just been warped. And this seemed to be like already was trending in this direction. But then the pandemic, when we came out of it and live events became like the thing to do for a generation of people that, couldn't afford to own anything. So they're like, the real thing to own is experiences. So, it's like, I don't know. A house seems good. A house doesn't
Or watch the Knicks lose in heartbreaking fashion to the Pacers again.
I like Bud Stage, but I'd rather have a house than go
House is pretty good.
go
I
see
gotta say.
Alanis Morissette for the 3rd time. So
A lot of anti-Canadian slang.
just saying. And it is a little, I get it, of course there's preferential treatment for stars and people around the team, friends and family. No one's disillusioned by this, but I'm kind of with you on the thing of like the players for the last, 5, 6, 7 years have been so vocal about how awful fans are. Like fans, you got so many guys being like, "Get him out," or
unless it's a
toss this player from or this fan from the game, and then it's like, what did they say? And then people assume it's like either something that was like really inappropriate or something racial, and it's like turns out most of the time it's not. It's like a very rare example.
They called him Westbrick.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's nothing.
So.
It's something that shouldn't even register, and yet it does for these guys. And so, to me, for the players to have made such a big deal about fan interaction with the players and how it's a problem in the league, to then have one of the players' dads actually like physically confront one of their stars. And the only, like, if you're going to do a draft pick of the best guys for him to confront, it's like, that was him, right? Yeah. Maybe the most mature, composed guy in all of basketball who delivers the speech of the year at the podium right after that. For you to just immediately kind of be like, yeah, but it's kind of a quirky thing, and now my dad's allowed back in.
He can be in a suite, just not courtside. It's
like, normally I wouldn't be bothered by this. If it was like, if you didn't, it's one of those things where I hate people who give it but can't take it.
Yep.
And I think we would all agree that's like the most insufferable person, whether it's a friend or an acquaintance, somebody you work with, like, and they talk trash, and then the second you give them a second back, and they're like, that's just how I kind of feel about the players with this one, and the fact that they're bringing back the dad. So ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, do I really care? No, but it just is one of those things. If I have to pick a side, I'm going to be like, this is kind of BS.
Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, beautiful, just defense of the everyday man. I was not expecting that.
I'm all about the everyday.
Yeah, that was great.
Three old guys on a couch.
Give us houses.
I mean, honestly, I was gonna say I don't care, but then you went off like that. And I was
Bunkis
like,
got you all in on
oh wow, dude. Honestly, the thing that I would say is like, if I'm the NBA, like they should have just done this quietly. Like they should have just been.
But
like,
there was no way to do that.
Well, I just think like.
Because someone would have taken a picture and then
where's
like
John Haliburton?
Yeah, but I think you could have just had him not be at the games for a while and then kind of have him somewhere in the arena without it being a whole thing. And I think that's how you avoid this whole circus. Because I do think it looks kind of stupid for you to come back out and be like, "Oh, Dad's back now." You know? But on the other hand, I do also see the side of like Haliburton's honestly having the run of his life, and you're kind of like, are we really going to lock this guy out the rest of the way?
Well, and you can't have not you can't, but it is tough optically to be like, if they were to say be in a finals.
Yes.
Chance to win.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly.
All of a sudden he's there on the floor, so it's almost like you got to give it a little time and space to be like, it's not just because it's the finals, but I would actually be like, yeah, but I think people would have understood more if it was the closing game in the finals.
Also, I realize I'm going to sound like a curmudgeon on this. My thing would be like, hey, listen, it would really suck if Tyrese Haliburton couldn't have his dad there, a clinching game to get the finals, whatever.
You did it.
That's his fault. That's no one else's fault. Just like any other fan who did that would not have been let in the building, let alone not allowed on the court, okay, if they had done that. And I actually think it's worse in this case because, if anything, he's a guy who should know better. It's not okay when any fan does something like that. It's obviously insane to do it and super childish and dangerous and like a whole lot of things. But it's coming from someone who should know better because his son is literally in the NBA.
Well, didn't the guy that shoved Lowry lose his season ticket?
Yeah. And as he should. That's what I'm saying. So it's like, it's punishing
But I actually think
Haliburton
what he
in a way,
did to
but
Lowry was less offensive to me than what Haliburton's dad did.
Listen, if Giannis wasn't as composed as we all agree he was and had reacted in a different way, didn't know it was Tyrese's dad, which at first he didn't, there are a lot of stars in the NBA, and rightfully so, might have swung on the guy, whatever. And then we'd have a whole other situation. So really, the fact that he's even allowed to be back in the building is thanks to Giannis.
Well, I even think, like, forget swinging on him. I think if it's anybody else who comes out in the presser afterwards and goes, like, that was bullshit, like, that guy should be banned, like, that is not cool at all, I don't think we see John Haliburton again.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that's true. If he was like really upset about it and was like made more of a stink, then that's probably the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have made for a far more compelling next year, though, as if Giannis killed Tyrese Haliburton.
Good thing this week's not sponsored.
Yeah.
All right.
Patricide, not
not a sellable, not as marketable as intentional fouling done in the middle. Okay. Last segment of the day, not NBA related, but basketball related. And I got to get my phone to get the details for this because, again, 3 old guys on the couch. I can't say I'm super in tune with every single thing basketball influencer. But, okay. So Tristan Jass very popular basketball influencer, trick shot artist, whatever you want to call him, has 5 million plus subscribers on YouTube. The guy who recently won a one-on-one shooting contest with Giannis Antetokounmpo for $100,000 put up for by Mr. Beast. There's a sentence for you from 2025. He is now signed to the CEBL's Vancouver Bandits for the season, a professional basketball league in Canada. He's a Wisconsin native, never even played college ball, let alone sniffing professional ball in any setting. Now, obviously, he has ball handling, trick shot skills, shooting skills, whatever. But again, never played college ball. He's not even an amateur basketball. He's just a social media influencer. The Bandits head coach and GM, Kyle Julius, told CTV in Canada, I mean, this is the world we live in, right? This is a business. This is a results-based business. We need to sell tickets, and we need to win games. Some more context. Jass scored 28 points in an exhibition scrimmage that they're calling his pro debut. So I saw this, and I'm like, well, they put out a release. It's like he scored 28 points in his pro debut in an exhibition game.
That
I'm like,
sounds
what?
really impressive.
Intra-squad scrimmage, which again, listen, I'm not taking it was still against other pro ballers technically, but not exactly the same shine as he against another team or anything. But then here's another thing. Their season opener was last weekend or this past weekend against Edmonton. He didn't play. If you check his social feeds, the whole thing is he's supposed to be bringing all this attention to the CBL. Not one thing about his team's season opener. The only thing flooding his social feeds at the time when their season opener should be marketed is his one-on-one challenge with Giannis Antetokounmpo for $100,000.
Was he even there?
That, you know what? I don't know.
Yeah,
but he didn't play. And like I said, all the marketing on his socials while they're playing that game is about his one-on-one challenge. So you guys have all the info now. Are you on board with this from a standpoint of like, hey, who cares? It's not a really well-known league, and marketing is marketing. It's going to bring attention to it, like J. Cole playing for Scarborough did, or the Paul brothers doing whatever the hell they does for whatever sports they're doing. Or do you have a problem with this kind of recent trend of influencers blurring the lines between pro athletes and gimmicky showmen?
I mean,
It's a loaded question.
I cannot wait to hear what you're going to say, to be honest with you.
well, the thing I was going to say is really rude. But
Hey, no, this is called The Unfiltered Show, and it's not a sponsored episode. So,
like, LeBron put his kid on a team. I got him in NBA games when he didn't deserve to be there. So could I get so upset when and Giannis puts his brothers on teams? Like, there's already a little bit of this at play in terms of marketing because that's what the LeBron thing was. And miss me with all the people that are gonna be like, but Bronny's good.
he was okay. Here's what I'll say: he's not an NBA player.
No,
But he was
Better
a
than
very
other
highly
second
touted
rounders,
prospect before the heart issue, and teams have wasted second round picks on but I'm with you. He's not an NBA player.
yeah, but he also got chances to actually like play,
100%.
and they're running the G League team like through him.
He's doing really well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they are doing that.
No, but
at
it's like-
least listen, at least we're still talking about a college baller. There was, if you really squinted at his best, you could maybe see a path to professional basketball.
Sure.
Same with the Antetokounmpo. Like they could play pro ball in Europe. If
Sure,
something.
but like
This guy never even played college ball.
yeah, but LeBron's kid, like they brought the Griffies and sat them courtside.
Yeah, they did.
As if he was the
like
kid,
stopped the game to acknowledge this moment and put him in and like as teams waste picks on bad second rounders for sure, but like he dominated the entire discourse around the NBA draft. And then not just that, like, okay, so this is a sicko move, but I was like, let me just see one of these. I can't even remember.
Tristan Jass.
No. One of these, I've seen that. It's not for me. I watched one of those Lakers G League games.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, he's not doing this organically. Like, did you guys ever watch when LeVar coached his kids and it was like
Everything
LaMelo was
LaMelo
just
pulling
taking
up
all
from
the
half,
shots and he could pull up and he could just do everything? It's like, yeah, they let Bronny do whatever he wants down there. So it's like they've basically handed him a G League team. Yeah, I'm not crazy about it. I don't think that Bronny earned what he has. I think his dad earned what he got. I'm sure he's a great kid, and I think he probably works hard, and he probably has taken a lot of undue scrutiny, and like the Stephen A stuff went way out of hand. But I'm just saying, like as a comparable, the stuff that actually happens in the like big leagues like this, to me, is far more of a concern than the CEBL.
CEBL,
Yeah, like no offense to the CEBL, I would probably go if it was like someone told me like, hey, I got free tickets and we can go check it out. I'm sure it's great basketball. But like
Again, Scarborough did it with J. Cole, and that
yeah,
brought eyeballs to the
exactly.
league,
Like
yeah.
it brought it, and there was a moment where they were like, "No, J. Cole is really good," and then he got like what 2 points.
He was not very good. At
Yeah,
all.
and then he went to like
He's
a
not-
Played 3 games.
Yeah,
And I think he had
You're
6
pulling
points.
guys who are just
Yeah.
good compared to
Yeah.
the average person and putting them in a professional setting.
yeah.
So, sorry.
I just want to see the players kill this guy.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
That's like I really hope that the players still have the like wherewithal to say, I don't think you belong here. I'm gonna crush you for this and make you feel embarrassed that you did it. That's my only real hope. I understand why leagues do it. Again, it's not for me. I don't think it bodes well for the future of sport that we do this stuff in general because
That is becoming normalized.
well, that's it. It's like again to my Bonnie point. It's like the beauty of sports to me is that it's supposed to be a true blue meritocracy, where it's like you can be in an office and somebody might have a job because of who their parent is or a connection that they have. But when you enter the world of sport, it's supposed to be, I'm sorry, but somewhat closer
Yeah.
to the pure form of a meritocracy. And so when you do stuff like this, I think it bothers me from that standpoint. But yeah, anyway, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, you picked a great guest to have on today because I have attended multiple NBA Creator Cup games.
Yes, you have.
Which is where I have covered them during my time around. And honestly, I will say at the last one, I was very surprised by the level of competition. But I say that to say that there are like actual basketball creators who are like actually good at basketball. Like Trey Fills is a guy that plays. He played in the G League. His dad was Bobby Fills.
I
Chris
think Lethal
London
Shooter
played
can
over
shoot.
series. Yeah, like Lether Shooter, I think did play pro. Like there are guys who can play basketball that if you put on these teams, okay, sure.
Yeah.
It's like it's just there's something about picking the guy that like didn't play college basketball
he's a
at
trick
all.
shot artist.
That is like, you know, like I think that is if I'm gonna nitpick something about this, it would be that. Like the marketing, I think it just makes sense. Like if the CEBL just played a game outdoors in Montreal, I think the second half got rained out. So they're gonna do stuff like that. But it's like if you're gonna pick a guy, there are guys out there that can actually play basketball.
I think too, like for more old man talk, for one last old man gripe that is like for the common man, but also is probably way too grandiose than Tristan Jass deserves. But if you look at what kids are consuming now, like I mentioned, I grew up on Gary Payton and Sean Kemp, and like I watched games. Like it was a big deal to travel down and go watch a game, but I would watch games from start to finish. Like we had WGN, and I would love sitting down and getting to watch a full Jordan game.
Yeah.
And it's probably a litany of different things like attention spans, whatever. But I've made the same joke about hockey. Is like, I would ban, if I was a coach, I would be like, you're not allowed to watch Pavel Barber videos in hockey. Like, you're not allowed to watch these trick shot guys that, that's what you're emulating. Like, that's what you're trying to do. And same thing with this stuff where it's like, I think we are trending in a bit of a bad direction in terms of who kids look up to are not Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They're not LeBron James. They're Tristan Jass and his trick shot stuff. And they're trying to do this. And like, I don't know. This isn't hoops to me. This is something else. And I feel like the blending of the two worlds like this, it is overall harmless. I know. Again, there's probably people that are listening to this right now being like, shut up, man. What are you talking about? But there is something about this to me that's like a little bit uncomfortable in terms of what it is the league actually wants to represent with like trying to attract new fans. And this is the way to do it rather than trying to better market their players and their games.
I think it's uncomfortable to us because, and I'm not even joking, we are of a different generation.
Yeah.
Like to your point where it's like, okay, I remember when I was super young, was it Master P, the tryout with the Raptors or whatever?
Yeah.
And now listen, again, that was a gimmick in its own way. But I remember that as being like the one thing that happened in my lifetime or in my youth that was something like this. Whereas now, I feel like it's just so normalized. Where again, whether you want to talk about the Paul brothers, whether you want to talk about Tristan Jass, J. Cole in the same league, whatever. Listen, if Tristan Jass being on the team sells more tickets, brings more eyeballs to the Vancouver Bandits, to CBL, then fine. It worked out. All the power to them. And I don't know him. Maybe he's a great guy. Don't know. But the concept of it and the fact that it's being so normalized does make me uncomfortable to your point because it's just, it's like what this should not be a regular thing. If this is like a once every few years thing where this is a story and it's like, whatever, brought some eyeballs and it goes away. But for this to be like in every sport, it seems like every other month, there's like a new story like this, to me is just weird and uncomfortable. And the fact that it's so normal to this generation, not to make this a whole generational divide thing or say they're cooked, but
No, they're cooked.
It is. It's just wild to me that not a lot of people in that generation see this as insane or see this as like, what the hell is this guy doing on a court with real professional basketball players? Listen, you want to find success doing the trick shot stuff, make money, win a shooting contest with Giannis for 100K, all the power to you. But again, when the lines start being blurred between what you do and what real professional athletes do, I'm sorry, that's where to me it's just like, I can't support this.
But also in terms of growing the game.
Yeah.
Like, do you really think that now, because Tristan Jass is on this team, that all of a sudden you're actually going to get more like lifelong Bandits fans?
No.
Or do you think you're just doing a little temporary thing where you're saying, hey, we've got Tristan Jass, and then you remove him from it, and now the product ends up looking weaker for it?
Right. Yeah.
So it's like a short-term
Manny
gain.
Pacquiao playing in that Filipino league, and it was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, short-term gain, long-term makes your product worse. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like the NBA, again, to go back to the idea of the Creator Cup, like that's kind of the idea. Like, yes, those dudes are not playing in an NBA game, but they are leveraging their fan base to bring them into kind of the NBA. It's a more organic way, and I think it makes more sense.
And it's them against them. It's
exactly.
Just, it's influence.
Yeah, no one thinks the NBA Celebrity All-Star Game is bad for basketball.
Right.
Yeah.
But if the winner got a roster spot,
exactly.
100%.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do think
Bieber looked pretty good. I don't know.
The idea there is though that you are trying to bring in fans that like this kind of stuff and then integrate them into the NBA. But I also think like there's a pretty big, like I don't know that that's a transferable thing. Like I like Tristan Jass.
Yeah, I need the data on that.
Yeah, like so. I mean, I don't blame leagues like them for trying to do something to bring the eyeballs in. But to your point, like I don't know that that's growing lifelong basketball.
No.
Although I will say, to the defense of the creators, slight defense is like, I think that our parents probably would have seen us playing sports video games.
Yeah,
fair.
And would have gone like, this isn't going to make you a fan of the NBA. And it's like, actually, it did. Like a lot of people became way bigger fans of sports because they did play the video games. So maybe the access point ends up working. I have a tough time relating seeing Tristan Jass shoot trick shots to a kid being like, well, now I want to watch, like at least with the video games, you were playing as those players.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, it's like you're bored probably by the fact that you're like watching a basketball game and there's the last 2 minutes, last 30 seconds where it's 2 hour long. Like, I don't know. I have a tough time seeing how that actually, you go from being a Tristan Jass fan, you see Giannis Antetokounmpo and he beats him in a free throw contest. And then you're a kid and you're like, he's better than Giannis.
He won 100,000 by beating Giannis.
That's an incredible point.
I'll take it all back if the Score's very own trick shot artist Brad Parker gets a deal with a team. Then I'll take it all back. We'll be there for the marketing. All right, I think this was a great panel for the topics today. You guys killed it. Obviously, we'll have you back multiple times. Make sure.
No, I'm done watching basketball.
My bad.
That's right. Yeah.
I enjoyed my run. Like I
we
watched
got to get him back in here before they win the title.
Once the Thunder win the title, we're never getting
everybody.
Bunkis back. But in all seriousness, for all those people watching, make sure you are listening to the JD Bunkis podcast. Make sure you are following and liking and interacting with all of our social media content here at The Score, which falls under Scott's umbrella over there. Make sure you're reading the app, watching YouTube, and following along with my content. For JD Bunkis, for Scott Campsall, for Zach and Adrian in the control room, my name is Joseph Casciaro. This has been The Unfiltered Show. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.